We're talking spring game here in just a second for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Before we get into it, name a player who you are excited to see play on Saturday. Drop that player name or names if you're an overachiever in the comments of today's show. We will break down some of the top players to watch at Ohio State's spring game this Saturday. Also mention some recruiting stuff here as well. And of course, I think you know who we're going to begin with. It's cheating. We're doing two. It's the quarterbacks. There's a battle going on. You're replacing Will Howard, who helped lead you to a national championship game. There's been a lot of buzz as to who's going to be the starter, who's not going to be the starter, who's going to win the job, who looks good, who doesn't look good. This is the first chance for kind of everyone to see how these guys look in a real, to an extent, shots or bullets flying environment. First up is Julian Sayin. He had been viewed as this favorite entering the spring, and I still think he probably is the favorite, although we'll discuss Lincoln Kienholz here has made it a battle, make no mistake about it. Sayin is a 5-star recruit back in 2024. Technically is a transfer, I guess, because he was committed to Alabama, and then Nick Saban retired, and he noped out of there and went with Caleb Downs to Ohio State, which worked out great for the Buckeyes, by the way. He was the number 6 overall recruit in the class of 2024. He drew a lot of praise from Will Howard, and even, we were at the Combine, talking to Will Howard and stuff, and they had all kind of mentioned Sayin, not so much Lincoln Kienholz. But Keinholz has made this a battle. He didn't play in 2024, did play, of course, back in the bowl game in 2023, which didn't really go that well. He didn't put up stats, I should say. He did play, kind of, like kneel-down stuff and garbage time. But 194 overall back in the class of 2023. He was the number 15th ranked recruit. Maybe was a bit undervalued because the recruiting services are not, if we're being honest here, are not paying attention to what's going on in South Dakota. There's not normally a bunch of good South Dakota recruits. But I still anticipate this battle going all the way up through the fall and probably won't be announced until closer to the first game of the season. But predictions. Saturday, the spring game. Who plays better? They're not going to be live. They're not going to be able to be tackled, so it's not going to be quite the same. But who plays better? LK for Lincoln Kienholz or JS for Julian Sayin? It is the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, great. Take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Let's go to running back. C.J. Donaldson is, I think, a key name to monitor. We're obviously paying a lot of attention to the QBs. This is the first look at one of the bigger transfers that the Buckeyes got this year. He was solid. He got a really big frame, big size, by the way. For West Virginia last year, I would anticipate more efficiency because everything is better at Ohio State than it is at West Virginia. The big question for me, between Donaldson, between James Peoples, who's going to be the RB1A? It will be a committee. It'll probably be fairly 50-50 split like we saw this past year with Henderson and Judkins. The talent levels might not quite be the same. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Henderson, Judkins both go in round 2. Outside shot, they both go in the top 50 picks even. This is the first real look at C.J. Donaldson for the Buckeyes for many people. I think that's certainly one to monitor. Let's go to a wide receiver who maybe we haven't spent that much time in the overall talking about. That is Quincy Porter. Now, the Buckeyes brought in several 2025 commits at wide receiver. Quincy Porter was the biggest of them. Number 56 overall, the number 9th ranked receiver in the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings. They also brought in Phillip Bell, Bachman Miller, DZ Jones. Ryan Day has had some praise for Quincy Porter, saying, quote, he's showing toughness, making those contested physical catches. If he can keep playing like that, he's going to find himself playing a lot of football this year. Okay, let's see what he can do in the spring game then. The quarterback battle means the wide receivers will get chances. They will throw it a little bit because they want to see what those guys can do. They will give the receivers, multiple of them, chances. Now you got not just the starters, but the backups and who's playing with Sayin. Maybe do some rotation stuff. Like I think there is a good look at these receivers beyond just the big names of Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, etc., Brandon Ennis. There is, I think, some room for a newcomer impact at wide receiver. I don't know if it's going to be a lot, but even last year, Ennis played a decent amount as wide receiver 4. Probably won't give all of Buka's targets to one player, so I think there is room for that receiver 4 spot to be seized even by a newcomer and a true freshman. Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, or if you're not in the Cincinnati, Cleveland area, puck drop as well for the Blue Jackets and the spring game itself, of course, you can get tickets for. Use the Game Time app for killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. It just takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to your next big sports, concert, comedy, theater, etc. The Game Time guarantee is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create that account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, all guaranteed. Terms do apply. How about CJ Hicks? Let's talk defense here. I think this is maybe the one I'm most intrigued by on the defensive side of the ball here. He is converting from off-ball linebacker to edge, which I think gives him a chance to get on the field more. And the Buckeyes need somebody there. I think that they need to find a player who can make an impact at that edge spot when they're losing their top 4 DTs and defensive ends. They need somebody to make a big-time impact here. 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, a former highly touted 5-star recruit. This is the opportunity. This is the chance to do, kind of like I'll go Jalen Walker comp, like linebacker but edge ability too. You've seen it in the past in the NFL. Son Reddick. I think he fits the Matt Patricia defense decently for what I think Patricia would like to do overall, even though it's not going to be a complete change. I am excited to see what he can bring. Tyrone Malone is next up here. This is the defensive tackle. Again, you're replacing your top 4 guys. All of them will be NFL draft picks. You have a lot of snaps to go around. Defensive line coach Larry Johnson, I would argue the best in the business at the collegiate ranks at least, on Malone said, quote, "I think now is a chance for him to do something special for us." Malone didn't play a lot last year. He had 8 tackles in 2024. He is still, I think, kind of learning a lot of what it takes to be a true football player. After all, we're not that far removed from him being a baseball player, which is kind of insane at 6'4", 300 pounds, baseball player for Ole Miss. He didn't play a lot. He did have some homers, though. I think he had, looking at his stats, I know he had 19 at-bats. He had 3 homers, which is kind of a hilarious ratio. But he's a defensive lineman now. This is where he has to make an impact. Overall, defensive line, or defensive tackle room, which, again, losing some key pieces there. What is your confidence level in it? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. Some rapid-fire recruiting updates here. They will have 12 2026 recruits that we know of at the spring game on Saturday, 3 of whom are committed. Of note, it is 3 of the bigger names, highly touted recruits who are committed. So I think you're kind of doing the, hey, help us go here, and help us land some guys. There's Chris Henry Jr., the 5-star wide receiver who shut down his commitment. Simeon Caldwell, the 4-star linebacker, and then 5-star safety Blaine Bradford. So 3 of their biggest commits, by the way. Of note, some spring game visitors. Ryder Lyons, who is a 5-star quarterback recruit. He's number 16 overall. Peyton Falzone, I think I'm pronouncing that one correctly. He is 247 overall, the number 16th ranked quarterback. And then Derek Cooper, a 4-star, 36th overall. Some running back, maybe some defensive back, kind of athlete listed there in the end, number 2 athlete in the class. Quarterback is something you want to get. In general, I'd like to add a recruit each year at QB just because it keeps the pipeline fresh when there will be transfers. So, when will Ohio State land that 2026 quarterback commit? Get your predictions in for me in the comments of today's show. Other notable visitors here, Nasir McCoy, the 4-star corner, Faber Aki, the other 4-star running back, Caden Dixon-Wyatt, a lot of 4-stars here, 4-star wide receiver, Derek Coleman-Brusa, 4-star edge rusher, which has been kind of a miss point, I feel like, in recent years. They haven't always landed the edges that they're searching for there. Cameron Brickell, a 3-star defensive lineman. And oh, look, another 5-star linebacker, Tyler Atkinson out of Georgia. He's the number 1 ranked linebacker in the class. Turns out roughly everybody wants him. We'll have more updates here on the Ohio State Football Report throughout the spring and into fall camp. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now.